There we go. There we go. I hope everybody is doing okay so far. Let me just do one of these numbers real quick. All right. There we go. Boom. It's the one and only. I'm just getting everything set up. Things moving a little more smoothly this week than last week. There we go. Now, just give me a couple moments. I am actually about to send out the link to let everybody know, because it's just me right now. So, y'all got to work with me. It was traffic. I should have started, 36 minutes ago, something like that. Y'all know, but y'all just give me a couple moments. I'm just sending out the link. What's up? People News is now live. Oop, I can't spell. Okay, boom, bam, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. All right, I'm almost done. I got 2 more links to send out. But while I'm sending the links out, everybody, let me know how your week's been doing. How's it been going since the last show? I always want to know. I'm curious. Would like to know. Put it in the chat. You can put it in the comment section below. Yep, that's 1 down. Here we go. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Wait, hold on. Let me get that. So, I'm almost done. Again, let me know how your week's been going, and in the comment section or in the chat. If y'all in the chat with me, if y'all chatting, let me know. And I one more link. Oh, all right, bam. There we go. Just give me a second. Bam, it's up and going. Yes, ma'am. All right. So all the links is sent. Just get my, yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, here we go. Got my notes. Got my pen. Boom. So we gonna start this wonderful show. Let's put that right there. I just want to say welcome. I keep going in and out. Just move that over there like that. Okay, there we go. All right. Welcome. If this is your first time tuning in, I am a local online news show. I talk about local, national, and international news. I am your host, Aaron Casey, and this is What's Up People News. For all my returning viewers, the usual suspects, thank you. Without y'all, the show isn't possible. So thank you guys for tuning in. Now, before we actually get into the show, I just want to do a couple announcements. Well, I got one announcement, really. Well, 2. Yeah, I got 2 announcements. First announcement, if you haven't seen my latest upload, Smoke TV, I was at the Heinz Convention Center, NECAN. There we go. I was at the NECAN convention this past weekend. Got to talk with some great organizations, different businesses that work in the cannabis industry. And so definitely check out that video. I have 2 more interviews that I need to upload, just getting everything together. But hopefully that'll be up tomorrow. And that's just the couple more interviews that I did. There are more that I did than what you saw in the video that I uploaded. I actually probably did like 8 interviews that weekend. But a lot of companies, they needed clearance and things like that. So I interviewed them. I sent them the footage. So I'm just waiting to see if they'll let me post. But if you haven't got a chance to see that, I'll make sure to have a link so you guys can check that out. It's Smoke TV. Everybody who partakes in cannabis, I should say, that's what that show's geared to. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, everything cannabis. And it's really to get rid of the stigma that people that do partake are lazy. Everybody that interviewed has their own business, part of a company, the dispensary. They make packaging for cannabis. They have a delivery service. Everybody that's interviewed is working hard, supporting their family, supporting their business, doing something that they highly enjoy. So again, definitely check that out if you haven't had to, if you haven't seen that. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Announcement number 2. As of right now, I have a guest that's going to be on the show next week. Now, again, as of right now, I do have a guest planned. I haven't heard any word for any cancellations. So I'm very excited. Well, you know what? I'll say this. I have a potential guest next week. I've talked with her peoples. So I'm just waiting for, if anything changes, I'll get an email or anything like that. But as of right now, I do have a guest planned for next week. I'm going to wait till Monday. And then depending what I hear on Monday, I will let you guys know then who my guest is for next week. But it's definitely going to be a good show. The guest has been on the show before. I'll say that. But I won't go into any more details. Just stay tuned for that show. But enough of that. I got my announcements out the way. Now it's time to get into the show. Now, we always do, I have a couple quick news articles that I am going to get into. The first one is unfortunate. The gentleman's name is Charion Lockett. And his family is filing charges against the cops who shot him. This is another unfortunate event of police just coming on the scene and shooting right off bat. But basically, this gentleman, Charion Lockett, the police are accusing him allegedly of an armed robbery. And they got some information that this gentleman was the person who was doing a lot of these robberies. It's so unfortunate because 1, he was in front of his house, and 2, he was actually going to school or graduated from school so he can get into law enforcement, so he can be part of law enforcement. The circumstances of this particular case are still being investigated, but from what I know is, again, cops got some information that this person was the person that was committing these robberies in the neighborhood. They showed up to his house in 4 unmarked cars. And the moment they got on scene, they jumped out the car and started shooting. I've seen the video. It's like any other video we've seen, cops not doing what they're trained to do. There was no stop. It's the police. This is, stop. We have a warrant for your arrest. It was none of that. They rolled up on scene, guns blazing. It's the typical cops don't care. And if they do, their actions don't show it. It's just an unfortunate event. You know what? I'm gonna just say, if this was a white person, they wouldn't have done that. They would have arrested him, brought him downtown. They would have questioned him and done what they were supposed to do. But because this was a black man, they was like, you know what? We don't have to do none of that. They just 4 unmarked cars. They weren't even police cars. And then when the police cars did come, it was after they already shot him. So another injustice that we face again every day. But just give you some quick details. The gentleman was 27 years old. He was still young. He wasn't that young, but he was still young enough. He was still in his 20s. He was shot and killed in front of his house. And all this took place February 7th. This was, a couple weeks before Valentine's Day. You know what I mean? Like, this whole situation is just messed up. But again, we're going to be moving right along. My second quick news, this is for all immigrants. in the state of Massachusetts. March 26th is Citizenship Day. And you get free legal assistance with your citizenship application. But that's only possible if you set up an appointment. If you have to call ahead for an appointment, and the number is 617-694-5949. And that's the number you can call to set up an appointment so you can start your citizenship application, as well as get free legal advice while you're going through that particular filling out of the application. This is being presented by Julia Mejia. I'm horrible with names, y'all, but this is something dope. I'll make sure to have a link, and I'll have the phone number. So if you know anybody that's coming here from overseas, that's an immigrant, and they need to get citizenship, well, if they call this number, not only do they get to set up an appointment to fill out the application, they also get free legal advice with your citizens application. So they'll answer questions, legal questions, things like that. Because normally you won't get a lawyer or anything like that. You have to pay out of pocket. But with this one, you call them, start filling out your application. They're gonna give you free legal advice as well. So that's dope. And this is for I guess National Citizenship Day, and it's March 26th. That's in a couple of days. I think that's Sunday or Monday. Might be Sunday. But that's dope. We want to make sure everybody can become an American citizen. We want to do it the right way, because the Republican Party, they'll hunt you down and try to deport you and all that stuff. Knowing that your life could be in jeopardy once you go back home, whether you're from Mexico, El Salvador, places in South America, Mexico. Like, there's a lot of cartels, a lot of violence out there. So if you know somebody that's a citizen, that's an immigrant and needs citizenship, call this number. I'll say it one more time. And if you don't catch it, I'll make sure it's in the description below. But it's 617-694-5949. And that's to set up an appointment to fill out a citizenship application. But we're going to be moving right along. This will be a short show. But this is kind of, a step up from quick news, even though that necessarily won't. Anyway, we're just going to keep moving right along, people. The next thing we're going to be talking about, and I asked everybody how to pronounce this name, Ketanji Brown Jackson. If you don't know who that is President Biden's nomination for his pick for the next Supreme Court justice. If you guys didn't know, Justice Stephen Breyer, Justice Stephen Breyer is retiring, and they're looking to fill his spot. And of course, Biden chose a African-American Black woman to fill that spot. And watching the confirmations and all of that, she's poised. The Republicans, the GOP, they came with guns blazing. Marsha Blackburn, Lindsey Graham, Josh Holloway, like all these people came with, they were asking questions, but they weren't real questions that would actually help. It was just basically GOP buzzwords. CRT was one of the main ones that they were asking. Lindsey Graham asked about her religion and how she might have a bias for Black people. It was just a bunch of they were trying to shake her up, get her off her game, and they failed miserably. She was poised. She was in the moment. She answered the questions the best she could, dignified. She didn't let these crazy "I gotcha" questions throw her off. She was on point from Monday till today. She was just poised, and she was also the assistant to the retiring justice. Justice Stephen Breyer. So she used to work for him. So she understands the ins and outs, what needs to be done, what needs to be gathered when presenting a case, when arguing a case. She knows all of this. She knows what needs to be done. She is the most qualified. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, we only want qualified people, da 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 da. The fact that she's more than qualified and the fact that just so happens she happens to be a Black female is just even more, because she understands. She gets it. She knows what time it is, if you will. But no, she did an excellent job. And I'm gonna give you some quick background again of who is Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson currently sits on the federal appellate court in DC. So she's already a judge. She knows what time it is. She's out here giving out rulings and things like that. So she already knows what needs to be done because she's already a judge. You know, she was a lawyer, judge. Now she's trying to become a Supreme Court judge. But I don't mean to digress, but let me continue. If confirmed, she will replace or fill, as I was saying before, Justin Stephen Breyer's vacancy seat. She will be the first Black African-American woman on the Supreme Court, and that is just awesome. Moving right along, we're going to talk about the polls because the polls is in this. 58% of Americans say that the Senate should confirm Ms. Jackson on her historical nomination. So 58% of Americans, half the population, says they should just, confirm her on this historical nomination. Well, I mean, that's cool. That sounds cool, but we want to make sure she's qualified. And we know she's qualified. We didn't see all her qualifications. She is more than qualified. And I agree with those 58% of Americans that say she needs to be confirmed for this historical nomination. But not just for that. Most importantly, to all the detractors out there, she is more than qualified to fill that seat. All right, let me say that one more time. She is more than qualified to fill that vacancy. So moving right along, Miss Jackson, she was born in Washington, D.C., but grew up in Miami-Dade County. And that's kind of where her legal acumen started to develop. Her mom and dad were both teachers. They instilled in her getting her education, things like that. And again, I'm just being very brief. I want you guys, everything that I talk about, you guys can find in the description after the show. I'm just making this brief, but I want you guys to go out there and do your own research, learn about this awesome lady, and potentially her historic nomination to the Supreme Court. It's just awesome. But y'all definitely need to check that out. Learn more about her. Moving right along, I have two more stories to talk about before I end the show. Again, quick news. So I want to get in there, talk about a couple key stories that I think you guys should know. And we're wrapping it up. We're getting close to the end of the show. Thank you guys for staying with me so far. Moving on to the next topic. I've talked about this particular situation before. When Lana was on the show, we talked about it with her extensively. And that's ladies' rights. That's women's choice. That's basically talking about abortion. And unfortunately, Oklahoma has joined Texas and Georgia in creating a bill to basically get rid of abortion. And out of all the states, Oklahoma is pushing the hardest abortion bill. But basically, the House voted 78-19 to pass a bill that basically bans all abortions. Because Texas was going through that, a lot of ladies were going to Oklahoma to get their abortions. And so Oklahoma was like, nah, we ain't having that. So they was like, we're gonna pass a law that nearly gets rid of all abortions. And a lot of this is being reported from Axios. Axios does a lot of good reporting. I get a lot of information, read a lot of articles from them because they be on point. But let me read a little bit from this article. Again, this is from Axios. Axios's reporting. Oklahoma House voted 78-19 on Tuesday to ban all abortions unless it's necessary for saving the mother or the pregnant person's life, the mom, like I said. Why does this matter? The bill, which would incentivize private citizens to sue anyone suspected of helping a person get an abortion, this would surpass Texas's 6-week abortion ban to become the most restrictive in the nation. Now, I am an advocate for ladies' rights, ladies' choice. Men, talking to you right now. Men, if you out there and you doing the booty clapping sounds and you get a baby out of it, if you don't want that baby, you shouldn't have been doing the booty clapping sounds without protection in the first place. That's what I got to say about that. All right, strap up. You know what time it is. You grown. But things happen. I understand. I get it. I know what time it is. But if you feel that you're not ready, have that conversation. If both of you guys feel you're grown enough, to lay down, have unprotected sex, then you guys should be mature enough to have that difficult conversation. Should we keep the baby or should we not? Now, I say, and a lot of the arguments that you may hear for ladies to have abortion is always an extreme case. It's always, she was raped, she was SA'd. It's always an extreme situation, incest, crazy stuff, right? And those are all valid. I'm not taking anything away because ladies, unfortunately, have to go through situations like that. Now, not all ladies, but there are some out there who have experienced any number of those situations. Now, and again, in those situations, yes. But for me, it shouldn't have to be an extreme situation. It should be, am I capable of raising a kid? Because raising a kid is not cheap. It's not easy. It's fun, but it's really not because you have responsibilities. You have to take care of a whole human, a whole nother person. You yourself, gone. You're out the equation. You're nothing. You have to worry about that little boy or girl. And so abortions, in my case, in my opinion, should be, hey, can we raise this kid? Do I have the necessary income? Let me repeat that. Do I or we, if we're a couple, have the necessary income to raise that kid? And if the answer is no, then you shouldn't be having a baby at all, especially if the guy, unfortunately, doesn't want to have a kid with you. Like, it should be, can we take care of this child together? Can I? Again, unfortunately, there are a lot of single moms, but the idea still remains the same. At the end of the day, it's the lady's choice whether or not to have that abortion. What I'm saying, what my argument is, we shouldn't always have to go to the extreme in order to say why this should be legal. Let's just keep it simple right now. Can that couple afford to take care of that child? Do they both have good enough jobs to where the lady can take off, a month, 6 months, however long? Does she have the job that's willing to do that for her? To give her the time off while still, paying her. And then once after that, a lot amount of time is done, he's able to come back to work. Does he have a job like that too, where he can take some time off to help raise his newborn son is we need to be thinking like this, people. Again, having extreme cases, yes, those do happen. But you know what happens more often than none? Unwanted babies, not being able to financially take care of that kid. So that's my argument. It shouldn't always have to be an extreme case, because extreme cases do happen. I'm not taking that away. But what I'm saying is, does the couple, does the lady, do they have the resources necessary to take care of that kid? And if the answer is no, then they need to have an abortion, because you're setting that kid up to failure. If you don't have the resources necessary, how are you going to feed them? How are you, them, him or her? You know, how are you going to feed them? How are you going to clothe them? You know, are they going to have a roof over their head? These are serious questions that need to be answered. And if they can't be answered, then I think the best choice in that situation for the girl and the guy is to be able to have an illegal abortion. But with states like Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, trying to get these bans to not do it, is just creating more problems, more chaos. But let me continue. The bill now heads to the Senate, because again, this was passed in the House 78-19. Now it's going to, it was in the House, now it's going to the Senate. If signed into law, it would take effect immediately, but would face legal challenges, because people are going to challenge this. There's going to be battles over this. So what are people saying? After seeing the devastation caused by Texas' abortion ban, Oklahoma, excuse me, Oklahoma politicians have taken this unconscionable step of imposing an even harsher ban on pregnant people. The American Civil Liberties Union tweeted, "Abortion rights have been warning of this nightmare for months. These bounty hunter laws will have a domino effect across the country as more and more states ban abortions entirely, while Roe v. Wade is still the law of the land, even though that is getting challenged in the Supreme Court this year." I talked about this back in December, how the Supreme Court was taking up abortion to ban it, you know? And this is what they're saying. As of right now, it's still on the books, but the Supreme Court is taking up a case from Tennessee to basically help the Republican parties get rid of abortion. You can't have that no more. I actually watched the video, and I'm gonna try to find it, and I can put this in the link. But there was a committee out in Kentucky, and they voted on banning abortions as well. They were trying to follow the Texas plan. And the only lady on the court, Senator Berg, I forgot her first name, but I know Senator Berg, she was like, "Yo, I'm the only lady on this committee." And she was the only physician, trained, practiced, licensed physician. So everything that they were talking about when it comes to the medical process and is a fetus viable, she was like, "Yo, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. What y'all talking about?" And what does it say? Texas 6-week abortion ban. 6 weeks? How do you know no. They're saying that that's a full human being with a beating heart at 6 weeks. And that's why you can't have an abortion. Total BS. Total BS. It's worth noting that many Texans have been traveling, and this is what I was saying earlier. Many Texans was traveling to Oklahoma to get their abortions because of what was going on in Texas. According to Planned Parenthood, Oklahoma saw nearly a 2,500% increase in Texas patients compared to the previous year after Texas law was enacted. So basically they're saying once this law was passed, everybody was like, "Yo, we're going to Oklahoma to get an abortion," for one reason or another. Again, I'm a proponent of, let's look at what's going on right now. Do they have the resources necessary to take care of that child right now? right? Right now, do they have the resources? If the answer is no, I think the best bet would be for them, that couple, that lady, to have an abortion, because you don't want to get yourself digging yourself in a hole, getting deeper and deeper and can't get out. You know, like let's be logical here, people. But enough with that. I'm gonna have links so you guys can read the full article. It's talking about again everything that I just talked about. It's talking about the abortion, why it matters, how did it happen, what's going on. All right. I stand with my ladies with the right to choose what they do with their body. It's not my say. If I was in a relationship and we, had an unexpected pregnancy, I would still give my reasons like, hey, yes, let's keep it, or no, let's have an abortion. And I would go back to what I was just saying. Do we have the resources? Do we have the job that will pay us? Let us take the time to be able to raise a kid. And if the answer is no, if you don't have that type of job, or if your job isn't paying you as much as you should, if you're not making at least 15, and that's still low, but that could be a basis. If you're not making at least $15 an hour, or if you don't have the resources or the space, things necessary, things that are needed to raise a kid, then unfortunately or fortunately, you need to have an abortion. You need to, it's tough though. I'm saying it so willy-nilly, but I had to go through that experience. It's not a fun topic. It's not fun. It's not fun to have that type of conversation. But if you're going to call yourself an adult, if you're going to do adult things, you got to make adult choices, tough choices, serious choices. And that was a serious choice. That's a life, but this is something that we all need to think about. Again, yes, the extreme situations happen, but let's be practical. Let's be logical. Let's look at right now. So enough about that. I know why you guys are here. You want to know what's going on in Yemen. I heard things about what was going on in Yemen, but of course, you guys know Russia invaded Ukraine, and all the news reports, they just went straight to that. And it's crazy because this was actually happening before Russia invaded Ukraine. And a lot of news outlets were not talking about this situation. This has been escalating over decades. But within the last couple months, last couple weeks, the violence and turmoil, the chaos has just risen to another level. And honestly, I think it's because of Russia actually invaded Ukraine. This was going on. They're like, oh snap, they want to fight over there too. We ain't gonna be outmatched, so we're gonna take up the ante. So, but yeah, this is such a tragic situation. What's going on in Yemen? People definitely need to hear more about that. What I'm going to be talking about is being reported by the BBC, the British. Yeah, the BBC. Y'all know what that is. BBC.com. This is news. This news stuff, people. Anyway, y'all, mind out the gutter. Get it out. Get it out. All right. But this is being reported by BBC. How did it start? Probably wondering, how did it start? So, back in 2011, a popular uprising in Yemen forced its long-standing authoritarian president, Ali Abdullah Saleh, had to hand over his power to his deputy. We'll call him Mr. Hadi, because I cannot pronounce his first two names. His middle name, I think, is Mansour. But y'all know I'm horrible with names. We'll call him Mr. Hadi. Mr. Heidi. I don't know. Mr. Hadi. We'll call him Mr. Hadi for short. But the current President Saleh, had to hand over his power to his deputy. So going down the chain going down chain. They didn't like what was going on. They was like, you ain't doing a good job. Pass it off to the next man in line, which was his deputy, Mr. Hadi. Well, a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't like Mr. Hadi. They thought he was weak. And excuse me, they thought he was weak. He didn't have the gumption. He didn't have the cojones to do what needed to be done in the country. So the Houthis, which are, his rivals, if you will, they want to take advantage of his weakness. They was like, you know what? He's not really strong. He doesn't have the backing of the people, of the military, whatever. He need to go. So the Houthis went up and was like, you got to go. Let me continue. Formerly known as Ansar Allah, or as the partisan of God, they championed Yemen's Zaydi Shia Muslim minority. In early 2014, they seized control of Sadr province in the north of the country, and then they captured the nation's capital, Sana'a, forcing President Hadi to flee the country in March of 2015. So the Houthis are kind of the opponent, if you will, of Mr. Hadi. They didn't like him. They was like, you know what? They wanted the country from the jump. But President Salih was holding them back. Some stuff went down. President Salih had to hand over power to his deputy. Once that happened, the Houthis was like, oh, snap. It's our time. This dude is weak. He a punk. He can't handle us. And they went in there and wrecked shit. And again, I know I'm talking very like just matter of fact, but this is a very serious issue. Again, this has been going on for years, even further back than 2011. But I am just trying to make this just a little more entertaining for the people. But again, this is a very serious matter, and I hope that more outlets start reporting what's going on in Yemen. But let me continue. Yemen's neighbor, Saudi Arabia, was alarmed by the prospect of the Houthis taking control of Yemen, fearing it will become a satellite of its rival, Iran. So basically, the Houthis, are kind of like Iran. Like they run in the same circles. They kind of have the same ideology. And let's see, continue. In March of 2015, it and other Arab states began an air campaign aimed at ousting the Houthis and restoring Mr. Hadi's government. So they was like, oh snap, the Houthis is in there. We don't want them in there because they might align with Iran. Iran's gonna come over here and wreck shit. They didn't want that. So they tried to stop that. They asked the coalition receive logistical and intelligence support from US, UK, and France. So the allies, the US, again, France, they came in, UK, they was like, hey, we don't want them to take over your country, so we're going to give you support. And that's what they did. And the coalition, the coalition received intelligence support. So they got information like, yo, they're going to be over here. Watch out, they moving troops over here. You know, if you secure this particular area, they can't come in and wreck stuff. So they were giving them support so that they could defend off the Houthis. But what's been going on since 2015? Because it's 2022, the war is raging on in Yemen. But let me progress. In 2008, President Salih, that's the one who passed the power off to Mr. Hadi. His loyalists joined Saudi-led coalition. Together, they launched a major offensive against the Houthis to recapture the Red Sea city of Hudaydah. Hudaydah. Y'all know I'm horrible with names. I do apologize if I probably mispronounced that. Its port is the principal lifeline for millions of Yemenis at the risk of famine. So basically, this is a major port. It's right there on the sea. They can go fishing. They can send out boats, get resources, things like that. It's a major point of access. And if this was taken over, this would cut off resources to the people in Yemen. So it's a strategic port. After 6 months of fierce fighting, the two sides agreed on a truce. So this is the Houthis and the coalition. However, the battle for the Hudaydah port could resume at any point and trigger a humanitarian catastrophe. And this is kind of what's been going on. And this is what's happening in the last year. So the president, some stuff was going on. President Salih had to pass over power to Mr. Hadi. The Houthis seen that. They was like, yo, this dude is weak. We about to come in there and wreck shit. They went in there and wrecked shit. They got Mr. Hadi out, Mr. Hadi out. They was like, nah, you guys to go. You too weak. You can't run. And they was like, because we run shit. But other people, the coalition, other people in the country, the Salih loyalists was like, yo, we don't like what's going on. So they tried to work with Saudi Arabia and put Mr. Hadi and his government back in power. But let me read this last little bit, and I'll close out this awesome show. So in 2021, the Houthis launched an attack on Marib, the government's last stronghold in the north and the center of the oil-rich province. This is another oil-rich country. The Middle East is just swimming in that black liquid gold, like they got oil out the wazoo. And this is probably another reason why the Houthis were trying to take over. They want to be in control of the oil so that they can then set prices, regulations, things like that. They can be known as a petro state, and that's just a country that has massive amounts of oil. And they basically won't regulate. But that didn't happen. Lastly, the UN has warned that over 100,000 people have been displaced because of the fighting there. There are 2 million civilians at risk. You hear that? 2 million civilians are at risk. And they're all trying to call for a ceasefire. There's just so much more that's going on. I'll make sure, again, to have a link. I just want to read just a little bit, just so you guys can get a quick understanding of what's going on in Yemen. Because everybody, of course, we all know what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. But we also need to know what's going on in Yemen. Hey, they're black and brown. They kind of look like me. I'm not, from the Middle East, but they kind of got my skin complexion. Because they was talking like, hey, what's going on between Russia and Ukraine shouldn't be happening because they're not from the Middle East. Kind of a racist comment, if you ask me. These are news reporters saying this. This isn't just people off the street talking to the news reporter. These are the news reporters themselves talking like this. So there's more information that you guys can definitely find out about Yemen, what areas are being controlled, the conflict zones, which areas are being backed by the Houthis and the UAE. There is a lot of stuff going on in Yemen. Again, I just want to give you guys just a brief, just kind of quick update of what's been going on, how it started, what's been going on, where it's at now. But y'all definitely need to check that out. Just as much as people are invested in what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, this is just another place that we need to work on and that we should look at. I'm sorry, not work on, but look at, try to help out, bring more attention to what's going on. But with that being said, that's all I got for today, people. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, I'll make sure to have a link to my interviews when I was at the NECAN 2022 cannabis convention. It was off the hook. A lot of great people, met a lot of great individuals, organizations, companies, things like that. So please, again, if you didn't see that, y'all need to go check that out. And I'll make sure to have the last couple interviews that I did uploaded by tomorrow evening, so you guys can check that out as well. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is your first and last reminder. Please hit that like button, like, share, subscribe. We need to affect that YouTube algorithm, and hitting that like button does exactly that. How? I don't know. It's black magic. Ooh, but it does work, people. So please support your boy, support What's Up People News. Again, tune in next week. I got a special guest. I'll let you guys know specifically on Monday who that guest is. I'm just waiting for them to not confirm that they got another thing going. But definitely tune in next week. Again, like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know about What's Up People News. I am your host, Aaron Casey, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.